recording this in Virginia.
Old movies worth watching. Old movies worth watching.
Welcome to the third episode of Old Movies Worth Watching. What is an old movie worth watching? It comes from the 1900s. It's good, most great. We have been discussing some movies that would be classified as good and not great that we might watch at some point. But we're going to stick with the great ones for a while, at least until we get our feet under our feet. It might have some technical significance. It could be an early showcase for an actor or an ensemble cast. It doesn't necessarily have to have all of these last few, but from the 1900s and good. It also could have some sort of artistic value, a new technique in special effects, and usage of digital film at some point. We might look at some movies later in the time period, or have some sort of cultural significance. In the film we watched this week, MASH, it ticks a couple of those boxes. Lastly, just thinking about that, the cultural significance, the war satire film made towards the beginning of American involvement in the Vietnam War, and then comes out a couple years later when it's in some of its worst parts. Robert Altman is a legendary director. I think there's one or two of his I haven't seen, but I've made it a point to see as many as I can. He's got the deadly Metabo virus over here. Weeks to live. Check out the GoFundMe page.
Yeah, if I start yelling about brains halfway through,
I've been instructed to put him down. I don't know if that's going to get him demonetized. If he is a zombie before I kill him, I'm pretty sure we're good to go. This is some of the people in it in an early showcase, definitely an ensemble cast with the whole group. As far as technical significance, I think Robert Altman sort of speaks for himself in the way that he, I don't know that he created this sort of interconnected storyline genre, but he certainly perfected it to the point where his later films, he basically had people lining up to be in the movies. There's a couple of directors you see that with now. Anderson and Paul Thomas Anderson, and also Wes Anderson. All the Andersons, people that want to be a part of what they're doing. So what are we going to be looking at with regards to MASH? Reviewing some of the technical aspects, going through the major plot points of the story. This one is not to say that it doesn't have it doesn't have a traditional story. It doesn't have the building up to major events and the climax, the resolution. I look at this, and I said this to you when we were watching the movie. It's kind of like Sand Pebbles, where it's almost like three separate movies. Mm-hmm. So this one, I looked at it as the saga of Frank Burns, and then the story of Ho-John, and then the football game. So it's a lot of it's almost like a movie broken up into vignettes that are interconnected with the same characters that take place in the same setting. So it's really sort of a fine line between a full 2-hour narrative film, and also something that's more broken up. And it's interesting because it's fairly early in Altman's career. I wonder if he were to make the same movie later, if he would do more of his own style and have all three of those plots happening at the same time, and just like cutting back and forth between them and having some of the characters more or less involved, maybe a little bit, but just have the action spread out across happening all at the same time. Something like the maybe not quite on the same temporal schedule, something like a Prairie Home Companion, but certainly shortcuts, takes place over a couple days instead of being as broken up as possible, because the timing in this is kind of nebulous. The timing on the show, and we'll probably talk about the show at various parts during this, but the timing of the show is ridiculous. The Korean War was 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
One of the episodes of the show covers an entire baseball season. There's, I don't know how many hundreds of episodes of the show, but one episode covers an entire baseball season from spring training, I believe, in March through the playoffs in October. So that's like, what, 20% of the whole time of the war in one episode? Now you're truncating it even further. It's just,
continuity was a strange beast back then.
it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't matter in the least. But it's just strange. So again, overview of the movie, and then maybe a couple things that we're going to be focusing on. This one a little bit different. I kind of just sort of have it broken down more point by point. So this might be a little bit different format to how we've done it in the past. Looking at the historical aspects of the film, there's a couple choices that show up that if the movie had been made under the official movie code, it might not have happened that way. They might have had to make some different changes. As it was, it came out as an R-rated film, so that might have helped it to avoid losing some of its edge. We're then again going to talk about our what we think is the best part of the film, the worst part of the film, and our favorite part of the film. Finally, we're going to ask a couple of specific questions about the movie. How to make it into a 6-episode miniseries, and again, this one's like Scream, where we have the same issue where it actually was made into a extremely popular television show. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about multi-seasonal ad revenue. We're talking about 6 episodes. Get in there for that limited series Emmy. Get the hell out of there. What would be made? What would be different today? And this is an interesting one, especially with the tone of the book, right? So the book is not a satire; it's more of a serious telling of the story of the Korean War. It'd be interesting to see that in a film today, sort of a Frank Miller's MASH, Dark Knight Returns MASH. The Bechdel test for the film. I think we're gonna have to consult the notes on that one, but we'll see how that goes. And then also we will discuss the rating of the film as an R. Would that change today? Would the cuts needed to make it one way or the other change? Would that be something that would be potentially be implemented? And then we're going to give a final rating of the film on a scale of 1 to 100 on tech, story, history, and our opinion. And then lastly, of course, we will determine why you should watch the film. Now, I'm going to see if I have the numbers written down for Scream. I don't seem to have them written down.
Or is it not worth watching?
I don't remember the numbers that we gave it last time. So you have to just trust us that Scream is good. Well, hell. All right. So, again, yeah, this was definitely quite a different step back in terms of the way films were made. Even just going from Jaws to MASH, it's a lot of different things that show up that we'll talk about. but without any further ado, uh, we're going to jump into our review of the film MASH. What time is it?
9:50. MASH. And it's strange because the asterisks that they put into the logo were just a decision made by the art director at the time to help with the marketing. A lot of people thought it stands for Mobile
Army Surgical Hospital.
Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, but it was he just thought it would make the logo pop a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean that's what it stands for, but it does look good. Good decision. Happy accident. Or not by accident, but it's a happy addition.
Mm. A lot of improvisation went into the making of the movie, and it definitely feels like that watching it. With the chaotic elements coming at you right from the jump. Movies, especially war movies back in the early 1970s time, it felt like pretty much all of them were in the serious sector of things. This coming out as a comedy, it kind of catches you a little off. This is when we reviewed it to be able to make the episode. That was my first time watching it. I wasn't aware that the TV show that came out later, that's so notable, continues off of the same book. They're both inspired from the same book, but the movie is separate. The only actor, I believe, from the movie that got carried over was the actor playing Radar. He's
Gary Busef, whatever the hell's name is. Yeah, Radar.
They wanted everyone to come back for it, but everyone, by the time the show was coming out, they were off on their trajectories into things.
Donald Sutherland was busy having sex on screen.
R.I.P.
Don't
Donald
look
Sutherland.
now.
R.I.P.
That's the
Robert
name of the
Duvall.
movie, but also him having sex on Robert Duvall.
And
Lost a ledge.
So coming in with the beginning with the helicopter flying in with the wounded soldiers, you're kind of expecting that typical kind of low morale type of.
Well, yeah, the theme song is a big one, and it's interesting because they don't use the words on the show. So the words are pretty bleak. It's the Adam song of the '60s. The song is called "Suicide is Painless" because we have to put a suicide warning on the video. Learn how to beep out suicide. You want to say that too many times, you get flagged for self-harm and suicide.
That's another improvisational element, because the director had said that during the movie he didn't want to score the movie with your typical trumpets and whatnot for the moments. So he chose to take the more grounded approach, but they wanted something to kind of help sell the opening bit a little more. And I believe it was Robert Altman's son that composed the song. So you got the title track, and you got Radar carrying over to the TV show. The title track gets the lyrics nerfed,
and then you lose Duke. Right? Duke doesn't make it. Old racist Duke. It's weird too. Movies at that time, so 1966 when it was made, came out in 71. There's still not a lot of music, but they found ways to make it make sense to have the music in there. So they're playing over the radio, and they're in places where they would be playing music. So I thought, just for some reason, I never counted before how many times they played the theme song, and I only counted two. Although I did have, I think, about the third whiskey by the second half of the movie, so I don't. They might have snuck it in one more time, but I didn't hear it. And they didn't play it at the end. They didn't play the theme song again at the end, which I thought was weird. It was one of those like recap endings where they show blurbs about the actor and stuff. But it was real upbeat, basically the music from the football game. So it's interesting to see how directors were incorporating music into film at this time. That's one of the things I find very, very interesting. And I think it's a major hurdle for a lot of people to watch movies made before this time period, because it's just long periods of quiet. There's not the constant, I don't want to say barrage, because that has a negative connotation, but the way that modern movies really hit you with sound all the time. It's almost like refreshing when you're watching a movie and there's no background music for 5 minutes. That was another thing I liked about Crime 101. Good movie if you haven't seen it. Not an old movie.
New movie worth watching.
Yeah, new movie worth watching. But there were long periods of time where there was just quiet. Also, Nick Nolte playing a hard ass, trying to be a power broker at age 80, sitting in a multi-stall urban market. One thing before we get too far into this: renting movies from online services is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so we looked it up. It was available on 4 services.
Yep.
You could rent it from Amazon. You could rent it from Google Play Store or YouTube. 2 different ones. Same, going to the same daddy there. Or you could rent it from Fandango Movies at Home, which is formerly Vudu and is owned by Walmart. So we decided between Alphabet Company and Jeff Bezos that the best thing would be to give it to Walmart, because whatever, I guess, the South. So had to log in, make sure everything was good, go to click it, it charges, but it doesn't work. Did end up getting a refund, didn't have to do anything. The refund just came up.
They said, this again.
But so then we had to go to YouTube and do it again. So at this point, we're $8 out. We did get the 4 back. We're $8 out. But that's just, that's ridiculous. I'd rather drive to a Blockbuster. I have the disc of the film. It's in a storage unit right now with all the other discs. But I looked online to maybe just buy another copy of it. The Blu-ray's out of print, so the cheapest one on eBay was like $30. Didn't even look for the DVD individually. I thought about buying the box set of the TV show, because I'm pretty sure that comes with the DVD of the movie. Ended up going against that and just renting it, which I should have just used YouTube to begin with. They're going to be the overlords. But it's a pain in the ass. Buy movies, have a disc. Then you can watch it. You don't have to worry about it. The license going from one platform to another.
5 literal steps is easier than 5 cloud steps at any time.
It's bananas. Plus, you got all the special features, the commentary tracks,
right?
On most movies.
If you're someone watching a movie review page, you should be able to appreciate the special feature aspects and behind the scenes goings with it. It's just becoming like a lost art with the way they release stuff now.
This right here though is an official call out to Steven Spielberg. Do commentary for your movies, bud. You know,
Come on, man.
you can watch commentary for the other Jurassic Park movies, but not the good one. You know, how about some? You don't have to do commentary on Schindler's List. Nobody's asking for that. But Jaws, I don't think that's asking too much.
Right.
Sit down for 3 hours, and then how many 4Ks are you gonna sell? The Steven Spielberg signature collection, like $50 for a 4K. People buy it. You don't have to, or you can just do other movies. You could do ones you produced. You know, we do what? Poltergeist,
This is
Back to the Future, something. Talk.
give us some more fat on the meat, please. We appreciate the meat, but we need some fat with it.
So if anybody watching knows Steven Spielberg, forward this to him. We'll wrestle. If I win, you gotta do commentary for Jurassic Park. That's all I want. I just want to know about the dinosaurs. I don't think that's asking too much. I bought that on tape when it came out. Saw it in theaters. 7 years old for the first one. Bought the tape. Bought the DVD special edition they had, like the red, black, like opening thing up that came with the CDs. Got all the movies on Blu-ray. Not the latest one yet. Waiting on that one to be cheap because that one was not great. Kind of confusing. Kind of like two movies put together. You know, but I've put in my dues for the Jurassic Park. I'm a shareholder. I'm a shareholder in the group, in Engine.
Give us the appeasing packaging and we will provide the dinero.
Make it happen. You can do it live. Do it. Take it on a roadshow and just like talk about the movie while you're there, and then cut the best ones together. That way you sell it on. You can sell the podcast. You can sell the Blu-ray CD combo. God, we're doing your work for you.
Movie theaters need help.
So just some of the stuff I noticed early on in the movie. The first time when the helicopters land, it's weird because the only person that's dressed in white there is Painless. Painless is the dentist. And then the whole suicide is painless thing with Painless wanting to commit suicide later in the movie. So I was like watching what he was wearing like the whole time. But you're focused on Radar because he's the one talking a mile a minute to the Colonel. But it was interesting to see how that was shown there. The guy at the motor pool, like, what was his problem? You know, like, I mean, they lost a Jeep, but like, that happens sometimes. You know, he's like freaking out, starting fights. It put racism at the forefront early. You know, that Hawkeye's saying that the guy's racist, which I don't know. I mean, I know Hawkeye's the white savior in the movie, but it's so strange. Like the word crawl has like a weird satirical element to it in the way that's on there.
You're getting brought in, and if the movie had came out about 5 years later, you would have been hearing CCR instead of Suicide is Painless. But
That's interesting.
it's neat too because it's the whole thing's happening in Korea. It's about the Korea conflict, but veiled into the Vietnam conflict.
Oh yeah.
At the time.
When did the book come out?
go with that off
get
the
some
top
research.
of the head.
But it's good to see movies that like present racism early, presented in a way that's not trying to have characters dance around it or act like super inauthentic or trying to force something or just showing like a
1968
book came out in
was when
'68.
the first one came out.
When did the movie come out? The movie was '66.
And that was the thing too that we were talking about. Sidebar, on the streaming things, it all says 66 beside the movie, but when you look it up, it said they made the movie in 70 and released it in 71. So it's strange that the timeline's a little off, and with this film, neither of us were old enough to have seen it when it came out in theaters.
Yeah,
So
that's for sure.
harder to pull from, but
I gotta get up to pee at night, but that's not that old.
at least you're still peeing yourself. But it's you know you're diving in straight from the hip. It gets to going with like what you were saying earlier with the music and the lending itself in. They get into the exchange, and you're just seeing Hawkeye get straight to it with it, but there's no guns being fired. It's just all
Yeah, I mean they steal the Jeep and they're at the camp. They start with this like really Robert Altman thing that I noted about how you have characters talking, but they're not on camera, but they're like kind of talking about what's happening on screen, and then they come into the shot, or they cut to the shot or something like that.
the open narration thing that makes it feel a lot more like watching a play.
It's not even like necessarily open narration, but it's just like you have auditory access to different scenes at the same time. But then when you're in the scene, like when Duke and Hawkeye sit down and try to sexually harass the nurses, like that's the drinking game for this movie. Every time somebody sexually harasses a nurse, take a shot.
Gets to grabbing too much.
You will be drunk. You will be very, very, very drunk.
You will be mashed.
Yeah, but it's in the spirit of 4077.
And like that,
It's good water.
good well water.
Yeah,
It gives you
thick with minerals.
it gives you the POV more like that you're standing there with them.
Yeah, and like so when they roll up, you have this overlapping dialogue taking place. And that was one of the things about the only thing that might have passed the Bechdel test, if you could tell what the nurses were actually saying, because most of the time the nurses are either being sexually harassed by a doctor, or they're having sex with a doctor. So basically the two extremes, or they're in the operating room, or they were cheerleaders at the end. So there's not a lot of the female roles in this movie are complicated.
It when it's the Hawkeye stuff, it kind of makes you feel like you're watching a buddy comedy.
Yeah.
Types.
Well, I'd say just talk about for like the construction of the scenes, how the overlapping dialogue kind of goes where the music would have. Like some of those scenes where it might be like we said, it might be a pop song, it might be a classical interlude, but it's that dialogue that Altman puts in the movies, and even in his later ones, I would say he probably used music less than another director might, making a similar story.
And you know how we like to talk about studios and filmmakers getting into it with each other. That's one of the things I saw that they had wanted to cut from the film, was the overlapping dialogue things. The studio was saying it would make it confusing, and he had to fight to get that.
That's stupid.
To stay in, and that's one of the most noted things about the film. It's strange. So sometimes
Later, there's a part where Hawkeye's on screen doing stuff, but he's talking from off screen about different stuff. It's like that's a little weird, but like the movie's pretty straightforward. Other than that, like I'm saying, it's that three-step, three vignette sort of thing. So you're not going to have the the build of the characters, the attachment that you get to them, what you see them do has to be like almost extreme. Like when the first time that Duke meets Hojon, gives him the porno mag. Like you got to be doing like crazy stuff right to begin with. The one nurse is a lesbian, right? And that came up a couple times too. Lesbians. But even like giving him when he gives him the porno mag, he then immediately cuts to surgery. So you have this juxtaposition of the kid is about to burn a hole in his palm and his dick with this magazine. He's a Korean kid in the 50s. It's definitely the first porno mag he's ever had hands on. So there's a lot of real extremes in this movie. It's sweet and sour. You put them together, it makes a good movie. One side or the other.
There's a good style to doing a jump cut.
Yeah. The way the transitions a lot of times in all Alden movies can be abrupt. And some movies handle that a little bit differently. Back to the Crime 101 movie, there's scenes in that where characters drive by each other in traffic, and then the character that you were following sort of, it's almost like switching characters in Grand Theft Auto 5. Now you're following the other character. So Mark Ruffalo and Halle Berry pass each other in traffic, and you start following the other character instead of the one you were watching.
The nice camera handoff.
Altman has a very abrupt transition in a lot of his films, and I think part of that is to help you know that you're moving on to a different character. And later, when you got these super interconnected plots, Nashville and Shortcuts are two of the best examples, I think. It sort of lets you the abruptness and the jarringness, I think, helped you stay with it and stay with.
It keeps you from wandering after side thoughts and on the main plot. It keeps you on the main ride instead of letting you trail off theorizing a little bit.
Yeah. You talked before about the narrator, the character saying that, but we talked also about the speaker sort of being a loose narrator, the intercom system for the camp, telling what's happening in the war, telling what's happening maybe socially in the camp. So that's an interesting way to.
It's strange because it's an army movie. You're on a military base, but the movie kind of makes you feel like you're at like a summer camp.
Yeah.
It gives you the feeling of like,
because they're not experiencing the fighting there.
Right.
They're getting the effects.
They're not in the front line. They're in the base. So
instead of army, the army saying hurry up and wait, the war mentality, hurry up and wait for the next fighting to come. In this presentation, in this satirical presentation, the presentation that ended up showing up in the show, it's more like fuck around and wait, where they're just going to be doing weird shit, making liquor, sexually harassing the nurses, pulling exhibitionist stuff with the showers.
We know now that that's more in line with kind of how a lot of the hijinks and stuff happened on army bases back in the 70s. I feel like people weren't as in tune with that hitting.
Well, it's just an interesting way to have the narrator also be in universe. the way that the music is in universe, having the narrator be in universe is novel, right? Because think about something like James and the Giant Peach, right? You got the dude telling the story. He's kind of like haphazardly involved in different parts of the story, where he's in the garden, and then he's also in New York when they get over there telling the story. But the loudspeaker is there the whole time, and I can't think of another. Just off the top of my head right now, I can't think of another. Leave a comment in the comments below if you can think of an example of an in-universe narrator that sticks with it the whole time, other than just some sort of like, Shakespearean soothsayer that comes out and breaks the fourth wall. The narrator in this case is offering in-universe information to the characters that also helps us understand what's happening, pick up on any foreshadowing that might happen, and then like on a rewatch, something as simple again as the dentist being named Painless. Suicide is painless. Painless tries to commit suicide in the movie. Like,
there's a lot going on in every scene, so you benefit a lot if you go back and review it. There's little things you'll be able to pick up on, going through with what all is being said, in the background and to the side, and in the behind the scenes things. In some of the featurettes that I had researched, they said a lot of the stuff coming over the intercom was improv by just other off camera cast members, the director himself, and a few other people. They would throw in things in there, and some of it was things that they were dealing with on the movie set as well, that they'd thrown in. So there's a lot of little Easter eggs to pick up with that.
you can definitely tell Robert Altman's contempt for organized religion. And I mean, really, war and religion are at odds. Various religions tries to play parts in wars. Doesn't seem like they do a great job. Life and death dichotomy. Can confirm. A friend of mine, member of my wedding party, college roommate, clinically dead. What is it? 3 days before we filmed this. Accidentally took a couple, accidental ingestion of fentanyl. So that's not, great. But I asked him, did you see anything? Was it just black? And he said, it's just black. So, not a lot of, interventionist input, I think, from most religious aspects. Now, funny story. You're welcome to say your personal beliefs after that, but I want to say mine. The idea of the Christian hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Complete human construct. But the entities that make that up, demons, maybe not necessarily, Satan per se as Lucifer, Samuel, the fallen angel. Don't know what degree that necessarily happened, although there could have been manifestations that happened to fill in the gaps, to make the sort of fill in the gaps of the paragon. We don't know what kind of energy levels things operate on, beyond the things that we can observe. Maybe we'll see some of the stuff coming from the moon when they land on there in 2 years, or who knows what kind of radio signals we'll be able to pick up, or other types of communications. The Christian concept of a demon is right and non-right at the same time. So my estimation is that there are entities beyond our current levels of perception, unless there's extreme intentional exposure, and those entities are powered by the belief that's put in them. So whatever the overarching reigning factors are, whatever the the consideration, the perception, that's what they manifest as. It's kind of like the Earth X perception of the Norse gods, where the more belief you have in them, the more power they have.
Like your Freddy Krueger type situation.
Yeah. So the belief that the Christian religion puts in things like demons and the power that they have, the ones listed. So basically, the entities listed out in like the Lesser Keys of Solomon were called something else before they were called those things. That's just the label that sort of
stuck
currently binds them. So they have this power, but they still have some of those rules. So like the things like that you see, like knowing a demon's name gives you dominion over it, because they draw their power from the belief systems that are engaging them the most. They're bound by the rules too. So that's why there have been successful exorcisms and things like that, and the ability of some paranormal scientists, not the fucking ghost hunters, to engage and have positive outcomes, have had negative outcomes, is because they have to follow the rules that are there. That's one of the things that it's the belief system is powering it. The rules that the belief system holds carry over. That's why they have the whatever you hold true on earth, I'll hold true in heaven type of deal with the Christian pantheon. To me, that seems just as likely as anything else. But as 99.99999% of people, happens to old thought it was coke, but it was fentanyl bumps. Just nothing happens when you go. So don't mess around with Jim as far as that goes. Completely off point, but back to the film. Yeah. What do you think about this statement? When Trapper shows up and he's sitting there screwing with him about where he come from, who he is, did that have a little bit of a feel of the Indianapolis scene? Just them sort of like bouncing off of each other and kind of showing where they've been,
A little bit of that scar trading stuff going on.
Yeah.
Bouncing back and forth. I'd agree with that statement.
You know what? It'd be nice to know if Steven Spielberg had watched MASH before he made Jaws, and that's something that could be addressed in a commentary of your film.
Do it.
They used to not put movies out. It used to be $100 to buy a movie to VHS because they were going to rent it, and we don't do that anymore. It's $20 when it comes out, or it's $30 if it's 4K.
Take it out, watch the movie, stream yourself watching the movie, commentate on the movie while you're streaming it, and then add it to the special feature list.
If you don't if Steven Spielberg does not do commentary for his films, someone's going to make AI versions of it. Is that what you want, Steven? I don't think so.
We don't need AI Steven repeating back to us excerpts from old newspaper clippings. We need the real sauce from the sauce man.
There were a lot of really good one-liners in this movie when they asked if the patient is an enlisted man or an officer, and they said it's an enlisted man. Make the stitches big. Just really, really needling them. There was another part where they asked Hawkeye, someone, I think it's Houlihan has a negative encounter with Hawkeye, and then she asks the priest. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the priest's name because it's Dago Red. I don't know if that's allowed to be said or not.
It's a character name. If
Yeah,
something comes about, we can bleep
Yeah,
it.
but are you going to say all the? I want you right now to say all the characters' name in Huckleberry Finn.
Oh God.
Yeah, didn't think so. I mean, I don't know if we're going to offend the Italians or the Spanish. I don't even know who you offend calling somebody that. Italians or Spanish, whatever. I don't know how many Italians are going to watch this.
Let us know in the comments.
But basically, Hot Lips is basically like the alpha Karen in that movie. Like, just all about seeing the manager. When she finally goes to see the manager, he's in bed with one of the nurses. So that didn't really work out so great. Just like weird stuff. Even like, it's not even just the women that were the victims of the sexual harassment, assault in the film, where they're peeping on the dentist again, painless, because he's got such a big wiener.
You wouldn't think a movie MASH would go on to inspire so many National Lampoon movies later on with whatnot, but you can definitely see
Revenge of the Nerds the same way. Revenge of the Nerds is just a series of sex crimes. Like it was funny. They show it on Comedy Central all the time, but you watch that movie now and it's just like, oof, that's They would need like a task force from the state police to come and investigate all the sex crimes that are happening.
Revenge of the Nerds becomes Revenge of the Living Dead in 2026. Porky-esque hijinks not allowed.
There is a lot of parts in this film where there's like a sex thing, or everybody check it out, the one dude's wiener, and then it cuts to a scene of violence where the helicopters come in. So that was really interesting to see how they really put those things against sort of hand in hand, really bringing in the different flavors of emotional solicitation in a film. I wrote down, Burns is a meaner dick in the movie. Did he inspire Mr. Burns in The Simpsons? Never know. I guess we could ask Matt Groening. If anybody knows Matt Groening out there, ask him if he's seen MASH. Don't ask him about this. Just ask him if he's seen MASH, and then we'll just make an assumption from that. And speaking of Frank Burns, when Elliot Gould punches him, that was the weirdest. It's like over the top, like smash, but like he kind of like, I don't know, just maybe like hit him in the nose, something like that. Frank took it pretty solid. I think honestly, if they'd let them fight outside, I think Robert Duvall would have kicked his ass. Not Elliot Gould just always kind of seemed like a puff. I don't know. Doesn't seem like he would be much of a fighter. Robert Duvall, on the other hand, you go bald that early. You learn how to scrap.
Your name's Susie. It's gonna be rough. Just
it is strange. The movie's supposed to be a satire, but at the same time, the Frank and the Hot Lips character are almost, in some of the situations, they're played for comedy, in the way that they interact with the other characters, but their hypocrisy in their actions, when Frank is left in command, is almost off tone for the rest of the film. Like it's not funny. It's just like they're just like bad people, really. I mean, they get comeuppance pretty quick, or at least I think Frank gets the comeuppance. I don't know, but it's a really sort of strange. It's a strange tone, the way that they come together, the way that they pretty quickly get fucked over by the whole camp, and Frank, gets out on like a psych thing. It's also in the show, Frank, when he leaves, he goes out on a psych thing, but it's because Houlihan's getting married. So it's not that he didn't get to bang her. Or maybe that's why he freaked out, because maybe Frank didn't get to come. Was there a commentary track on this? That's an important question. I guess we'll never. Now Robert Duvall, Hot Lips, and Robert Altman are all dead. We'll never get to know if Frank Burns got to come.
Have to ask the microphone stand. The damn. That was one of the funniest bits in the movie, holding the microphone stand up under him while they're trying to get it on.
Yeah.
Another thing that wouldn't fly so well nowadays in the modern adaptions.
Well, like, just think about all the weird shit people did before they could just have reasonable access to pornography. Like, my God.
When you're bored in the jungle over there with no access to television, movies, books, you got to entertain yourself. And as the people of MASH showed us, the way they choose to entertain themselves is just committing felonies. With whatnots.
Another great one-liner came after that. If I nail Hot Lips and punch Hawkeye, can I go home? So that concluded the first part of the movie, the saga of Frank Burns. And then we go into the next part, which has two major aspects. The first is the attempted suicide of Painless, the dentist. And then the second is the trying to get Ho-Jon not to be drafted into the Korean Army. So early in the plot about Painless, it's interesting because Hawkeye kind of takes confession from the priest. Dago Red. Which again, I feel like that's because I don't know. Let me get into it's referencing wine, but it's referencing Italian wine or Spanish, whatever. But it's interesting to see him being the source of confession for the priest, and then they both sort of formulate a plan based on that, but still having to adhere to confessionary rules. And we then see Hawkeye go and talk to Painless, where he promptly is drinking scotch from Daddy's glass. Painless describes himself as a victim of latent homosexuality. That's quite a jump. The problem that leads him to this conclusion is his inability to get an erection with one of the nurses. And I don't want to make excuses for some loser that couldn't get it up. But, you're in a war. He seems to be a bit of a drinker. Maybe even taking some of his own prescription drugs, with the paradox of familiarity and pharmacists and dentists being not high, but they have higher rates of opioid abuse than the general public. Maybe he had a bad night, kind of overreacted to it. A couple times, this is supposed to be in the 50s, so he's 40 years away from Viagra. He's pretty much screwed.
Painless is boneless.
As he starts, injecting baboon testosterone into the base of his penis, but that's a tough row to hoe. So it's interesting again to see the dentist ask the doctors for a suicide pill. Like, that's a real thing. I guess it is now. At the time, not so much. There's some countries where you can get that done, and honestly, it's probably for the best. It shouldn't be as much of a stigmatization. I'm not putting people out on ice floes, but use fentanyl for some good. Just send them out on a cruise ship, going over the moon to Narnia and back to where we all come from.
The blackness.
Yeah, which is nothing. So that, again, back to Hawkeye talking to the priest and sort of having to figure out what they're doing. The priest participates in a cardinal sin to prevent a mortal one. So that's an interesting sort of bit of papal legalese. You're defending someone from committing a mortal sin, which they would, according to the book, go to the suicide forest and be a tree forever. Whereas a cardinal sin, you can just be, forgiven for that. That's the whole sort of sleep creep thing that happens on that occasion. I don't know if he wakes up or not, but I mean that girl raped him. That happened. He was asleep. She came in there.
You can't give consent if you're unconscious.
She saw that big dick that everybody saw in the, and maybe that was just it. He just needed to be asleep. And I mean, back then she was hot. He wasn't complaining. Next morning he's shoveling down eggs. Oh, hi, Hawkeye. Woo! I woke up peeing all different directions. I must have come 8 times. My balls went from looking like avocados from Mexico to raisins. It's going to take me 3 weeks to respawn all that semen. So he wasn't really worried about it. They did the whole apostle thing. That was kind of strange. Where they played the song again in universe. The first time it's not in universe. Second time it is.
Yeah, they set up the Last Supper scene to be a big poster shot to be used for it, and the studios nixed that. They didn't want to be sending weird messages to audiences back then, but it's that's a pretty iconic cast shot there. You got everyone lined up. What the heck, man? But again, to each his own. Tomato, some people.
And then when they bring him into the death chamber, very strange color compared to the rest of the movie. Very sort of vibrant. Very interesting choice. Again, is one of the... This one, I said that it was the story of Ho-John more than the story of Painless. The Painless story is longer. It's probably got more memorable stuff that happens in it. But the next day, Painless wakes up and he's ready to go. Same sort of thing. But what eventually happens with Ho-John is he leaves. Same way that Frank leaves at the beginning of the first section. Has an interesting thought. What if Donald Sutherland's character in this movie in universe is the professor in Animal House? He just goes straight from the war and starts teaching at the college and selling people joints.
Hey, is that John Belushi?
Without putting on underpants. Anyway, the next thing they do, the next sex crime that's going to happen, now that they've continued to torture Major Houlihan, is they're going to expose her pubic hair to everyone so that they can settle a $20 bet, which equates to about $250 a day. So again, it's one of those scenes where you're watching the movie and it's like, oh, she's kind of a bitch, but my God, they're really creating a supervillain with this. Kind of sort of I wonder if Stephen King saw this to put into Carrie, which came out a few years later, both the book and the film. It's interesting when they go to town to take Ho-John for the physical. They're 6 deep, so everyone's really trying to go. It's a big deal. They don't really show much in the movie in town. They definitely go to Rosie's more and some other stuff in the show, but you really see people's want to get in there.
To escape the sex crimes, let's all go take our ward to the town.
And I think it highlights the hubris of a lot of doctors in general, but certainly these doctors, that they thought that their little scheme to mess up his P test or whatever, his blood test, give him amphetamines, they wouldn't see through it. And at that point, I wonder if this was the show, if they would have like had a plot where they tried to bribe him and then they got in trouble for that.
Try to boof the P doesn't work. We gotta bribe him. We can't let Ho John dodge the draft.
I'll say if I ever go back to Japan, I'm gonna play golf. Get some nice courses out there. They did the right thing by by doing that. Interesting to see Hot Lips threatened to resign her commission, but she didn't. She's in the rest of the movie. One of the cheerleaders later. Major part on the show. Again, she's after Frank leaves, she starts banging Winchester. But it's interesting. Robert Altman made some long movies. This one's a little over 2 hours. It would be interesting to see another like half hour and sort of flesh out some of the things. So like maybe one more scene of like why she stayed. Have her start banging somebody else there. Again, that's not the only thing that her character needs to do. But the way that it worked in the show, well, it seems like that's something that might have been something to move, to kind of increase the full picture of what we're seeing about the people. So then we go into the last part, the football game, which they said the initial bet was $5,000. That equates to $63,000 in today's money, which that'll buy you a lot of commissary whiskey. Tell you that much. What do they do to win the football game? Bring in a black guy. That's their plan.
Get a ringer from the NFL.
And I'm not gonna say what they called him in the movie because calling the priest Dago Red's one thing.
Borderline.
It's not good, and that's like just like casually what his name is. It's not top tier, but it's mid tier for sure. Like it's one that's used specifically for it might even be it's like top mid top tier. His nickname is not great. It's 2 words. The first word rhymes with clear. And you're going to have to do your own research from there. I mean, ultimately it works, so. And I mean, it's like the nickname they announce over the loudspeaker. They're like, coming for MASH 4077, Jones. It's like, whoa. Be a little weird if they.
Deion Sanders played for Florida State University, and I feel like having a football player in there with a name like that is kind of on brand for the 70s. But
Don't get me started on fucking Deion Sanders.
I'm just trying to roundabout explain the name. It's the same thing, You used to have the Cleveland Indians and
Celebrity boxing. I'll fight Deion Sanders. I don't care. Celebrity boxing. Let's go. Do it for charity. Dude sucks. You got a regular season game that doesn't matter, and you got a playoff game. Play in the playoff game. Anyway. They definitely kind of cheat, bringing the ringer in only in the second half. But it kind of has this sort of Robin Hood mentality, right? They're taking from the rich, the general, and they're giving to the poor, who in this case is themselves, and they're probably going to spend that on booze. But, is what it is. I don't know of any movies that do this game at the end thing before this. I did zero research, but it's very like Little Giants. God, what's the one with Robin Williams? Just having the movie, having the game at the end, works well in a lot of situations. Sort of set up that last, whether it's going to be the last 30 minutes, 20 minutes of the movie. Kind of much the same way the Scream movies do when they have the last like 40 minutes set up at a particular location. It is interesting to see the Army neurosurgeon killing his body to participate in the game. What we know now with football and all that, it's pretty tough.
I guess because again, they are in a war zone, conflict zone over there. So every little bit of distraction kind of counts, which kind of rationalizes a little bit of the irrationalities that happened during it. Sad fact of the day: when they shot the football game, that was actually on the same day as the Kent University shooting. So that's what was happening back home while they were shooting that scene. So it's a little strange having the real life consequences happening when they're trying to illustrate similar ideology on there. Again, one of the things that led to the delays of the release of the movie was the escalating conflicts with the Vietnam War.
Oh, similar things happening. I don't know if they would let Alex Garland release Civil War now. Talking about the Kent shootings, you got stormtroopers in the street shooting people, shooting nurses, Army veterans.
Officer Frost.
Fuck ICE. Not the concept of the organization, the current iteration. Because the same shit happened with the Border Patrol after 9/11. They expanded the ranks threefold. They hired a bunch of fucking dumbasses, and they've had massive increases in corruption, in the cartels being able to buy them, pay them off, coyotes being able to buy them and pay them off. You only get as good as you hire. So anyway, the dog should have been in the movie more. They had at the end. They got a team dog. He's in like one scene. Dog was awesome. Like more dog. Really, the only note for Robert Altman. More dog in the movie. And then at the end, Hawkeye and Duke get to leave because they got there first, and everybody else has to stay.
They set off on their adventure back home.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's a strange ride. You pull in with them stealing the helicopter and hijacking the Jeep and to riding off in the sunset in the same Jeep.
Yeah.
You go on like the Scream and Jaws both feel like you're getting pulled along in a roller coaster, and MASH feels kind of more like walking around in one of those mirror rooms. Mm-hmm. To equate it, to continue with the theme of equating the movies to theme park rides. It kind of feels more like you're walking around in a mirror room where you're getting bounced in a few directions, but eventually there's only one path through it. But it's an enjoyable ride. 124 minutes, I think, with credits. Something around about there. And we're both big fans of The Pit right now. So it was, again, first time viewing of the film for me. I was getting a lot of
like medical stuff. Yeah, it's a good one as far as that goes.
A lot of that, because that wasn't
early for that. Yeah,
that wasn't something getting shown as much back then. But
Mother Jugs and Speed and Ambulance.
It's
yeah.
It's just neat having them everyone engage on there in a more realistic kind of uh, dialogue exchange with each other versus everything feeling 100% high pressure all the time, which would just be.
Well, so when you have that sort of changing of the guard with the way the movies are made, especially war movies, looking at something like MASH and looking at something like Green Berets, it kind of makes Green Berets look like a fucking joke. Where they're showing and MASH isn't even that hard of an R, but they're showing like some of the horrors of war, the impact that it has on the people that die, but also on the people that see that every day, and how it impacts their ability to go back to what they had before that. It's a rough one, and I think in the beginning of the show, it's weird. The beginning of the show has a lot more comedy, and then as the show goes on, especially the last couple seasons, like when Hawkeye's in a mental institution, it gets more serious, kind of the way the movie did. So it's weird that the show, again being a couple hundred episodes, still had a rough following of the plot and the progression that the movie did. So we did a kind of a organic review of most of the stuff. So what do you think is the best part of the movie?
As far as scene goes or character and whatnot, I really just love Donald Sutherland's performance in it the whole time. And I mean, the cast as a whole, just the way that they were able to kind of bounce everything off of each other. So seamlessly, it. I think the most Robert Duvall getting pulled in and pulled out of the movie within about 30 minutes was a little shocking like that. I was totally expecting him to get brought back once they pulled him away from that. By the time they were getting into the
49 minutes
into the end, so him kind of disappearing. But again, this is, like we said, was earlier on in his career versus later on, so he's more of a notable face for me.
So he filmed it before The Godfather, but it came out after the first one, or the same year as the first one.
Mm-hmm. And Stallone is actually in this movie. He's an uncredited extra sitting at one of the tables in it, and Stallone and Robert Altman do not get along. So it's something that is he was always contending with. He didn't know about it. It was something that got after post Rocky and everything, when it blew up, it came out that I did some side work on that for a day. So he's one of the random soldiers in it. So that's strange. I when I go to rewatch the movie again, I'll have to try to see if I can pick him out in the scene and see. But I just, again, favorite part, Donald Sutherland's performance. I haven't seen the entirety of the television show. Probably seen about 60% or so, if I had to estimate.
About 90, I think.
I've seen a chunk of it. And,
I don't think I've seen it all.
What's the actor's name's escaping me in the show? Alan Alda's version of it. They're definitely two different. They definitely pulled two different kind of styles for the character.
I think at the beginning it's pretty close, but he definitely makes it his own. So what's the worst part? So Donald Sutherland's the best part. What's the worst part?
Um, the
Airplane.
it's hard to kind of decide on really like a least satisfying part in it. I don't know. What? Tell me your best part. Let me think about it for a minute and see if I can spark something here.
I think the best part of the film is just watching Altman develop his style. The overlapping dialogue, the interconnectedness of some of the character interactions, the way that he incorporates natural music, the natural narrator, I think is just fucking genius to be able to do that. And it's so simple to think about. So again, just seeing him develop his stuff, and I fucking love Robert Altman. Where's the 4K of Cookie's Fortune? That's what I want. So many good movies. Just such a great style. There's so few directors that like, there's prestigious directors that people want to be in the movie, but there's directors that people want to work with for bettering themselves. And Robert Altman was one of those guys.
People really felt like they took improvement to their craft post working with him, versus just like wanting to participate and be part of the picture.
Which is like look at Shortcuts and look at like the kingmaker that he was and the people that blew up after that movie. It's or Nashville same way. I mean Jeff Goldblum just some like hippie riding a teardrop motorcycle around the movie the whole time, barely has any lines, and goes on to be international superstar, man of mystery. The worst part, I think, is the whole trip to Japan. It just doesn't really do anything to move the plot along. I think if they had spent those 20 minutes at the camp, they could have developed the characters a little bit better. Maybe we could have found out about Hot Lips' path between breaking down in Henry's tent, seeing him in bed with the nurse, until she's the cheerleader at the end of the movie. Like what happened there? I think that time could have been used to better explain some of the other interactions, or even just like having Hawkeye and Duke and Trapper bang some of the nurses, or get Radar laid. That'd have been good. It just seems. It seems like it's a filler episode of a TV show. So, what do you think for worst part? Damn, that is squeaky. That's good water.
It's tough being such a movie fanboy trying to critique a Robert Altman art piece like this.
Nothing's perfect.
That's true.
Nothing's perfect.
I kind of. I feel like the it could have used maybe at least one more lead female co-star other than just Hot Lips. She's kind of carrying the whole thing. We said we double check, but off the top of my head, I don't remember it passing the Bechdel test. So at times
The nurses are kind of interchangeable.
they kind of make them feel a little prop-like in it. But again, that could also just be 1970s in the same way with the naming and things like that. You could explain that away, but I feel like it could have benefited by having at least another a little bit more of a female soldier, something in there. Again, unfamiliar with the book, so I'm not sure if there's a amalgamation to be made or whatnot.
The future is female. What's your favorite part?
The contradict myself with saying, but the scene where they yanked the tent back on Hot Lips, that was very, very jarring, unexpectedly like that.
Yep.
So it caught me off guard. I was expecting more of just like a pop in type situation, not the whole reverse
They
reveal
really made it
like
a spectacle, yeah.
So I think just the way that they were able, with it being a comedy and everything, the way they were able to bring things right up to the edge of being what's the word for it, like
Offensive.
Zany a little bit, kind of with some of the stuff that they pulled. They got right to the edge of it, but were able to maintain without going
So
overboard.
the line between zany and offensive, they were able to stay on the correct side of it, at least for the time being.
For the most part, and
Yeah.
in the time period, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it. I enjoyed a lot of the jokes.
My favorite part of the movie, Elliot fucking Gould. Every second he's on screen. You know, it's debatable whether Alan Alda or Donald Sutherland played Hawkeye better. You know, is Radar better in the show? Is Radar better in the movie? God bless Trapper John on the show, but Elliot Gould is just amazing. From the overhand downward, I don't even know what he did. Like, just, y'all, tiger punch, or
Closed fist.
Chinese
eye
restaurant,
rake.
Chinese restaurant kitty cat punch. He's just fantastic. He's absolutely fantastic in this movie. Every scene he's in, he makes it better. There's not like a slow scene or anything that he's in. It's just great. Okay, so how to make this a 6-episode miniseries, and I got that patent. You basically take all the Frank Burns shit. That's your first 3 episodes. Episode 3, at the end of episode 3, he's fucking off. He's going, Section 8 on his way home. You can do 50-minute episodes. You do 40-minute episode of him, then he leaves. You do the credits. After the credits, you have him going home. And you have 10 minutes of him in whatever town, meeting his wife, whatever. Like, literally like a Mr. Poopy Butthole episode of Rick and Morty at the end. The second half, you have the football game bleed from the end of the 5th episode into the 6th episode. Halfway through the 6th episode, it's over. They've won. And then you do the Ho John shit at the end. And that's the end of the series. You don't do the helicopter flying away. It's been done. You have that scene in the alley where it says, oh no, we are going to take him. We need lots of people on the front line. That's the end of the thing. Ho-John going off to his death. That's how you make that a 6 episode.
Yank the wind out of the sails right at the end.
Yeah.
It's good.
As far as what would be different today, it depends on what the rating you're trying to do. If you're leaning into the R, I want to see more nurse titties. We can see more Dr. Wieners too. You know,
Sex it up.
just increase that. More, I think there'd be more violence. I think again you lose that scene in Japan. Maybe the camp gets hit by a bomb or a mortar shell, and then you have to deal with somebody getting hurt. Maybe it's the priest, or maybe it's radar. I definitely think you want to keep it R, just from the satirical nature of it. I don't think it passed the Bechdel test. I don't. There might have been a time where Houlihan was talking to a nurse, but it was probably about like a patient or something. So I think we just say it didn't pass. And we kind of already talked about the rating. So. One to 100. What do you got? On the execution of the technical aspects of the film, presentation, what does it look like?
89.
Story.
78. There's still some stuff that could be filled in with it.
History of the film.
As far as like
Contribution to the film, you got to take into account the TV show that it spawned.
a 90.
And in your opinion, how good of a movie is it?
88 out of 100 probably.
All right, as far as tech goes, execution, it's well done. I would say about where you're at, I'm going to give it a 90. Some of the shots, the helicopters at the beginning, some of the things that got incorporated over into the TV show. Story, I think, is lacking. I think the way it's broken up, it feels very episodic. It feels very much more like a television show than a movie. I'm going to go lower and say 75. As far as the history of the film, just because it spawned the show, because it is a Robert Altman film, I'm going to go a little higher than you in 90, give it 95. In my opinion, when I say opinion, it's more like, how good do I think it is, and how likely am I to watch it in almost any circumstance? And I don't know of a lot of circumstances where I wouldn't want to watch this. So I'm going to give it a 90 for that as well. Get a calculator there.
Which feels strange being a war movie, but strange is the name of the game. Hit me.
89, 78, 90, 88, divided by 400.
0.86.
Okay. 90, 75, 95, 90, divided by 400.
88.
You learn math with this as kids. So we're pretty close. And I would say that's a pretty good score for the film. some of the lacking aspects has, again, is the story, the flow of the film, but the way that it's put together, the impact that it has, and the entertainment value, I think, really prop it up. So why should someone watch MASH as a first-time viewer?
To experience the chaos for yourself, and to be able to feel the way they're able to bounce everything around. And understand the significance with what the movie went on to go and inspire, especially if you've only ever seen the show, never seen the movie, or if you're just a fan of war films in general. It's very there's only like a handful of comedy-based war movies, and even from there, then ones that are done so well. This one is pretty much the benchmark for that. It's kind of the bar you're getting held up to, and off the top of my head right now, I can't think of another war comedy that would surpass this. You go in and it's enjoyable. There's plenty of laughs mixed in with just good chemistry amongst all the cast. None of them feel out of place, forced in. It feels very organic in the way that the camaraderie and things are going across on there. And like you said, knowing what Robert Altman has down the line past this, you get to watch him in the early stages, what he develops these things into. Because when I was reading behind the scenes featurettes and things about it going into this, it's like the exact opposite of Jaws. The movie came in $500,000 under budget, and it only took 29 days to shoot it. So they shot it in a month, and they were $500,000 under budget on it. So that's how he was able to, when he got into it with the studio about them trying to over-edit certain aspects,
like, bro,
he's able to, I did my job, and I did it efficiently, so don't go trying to, I did it fast. Let me put my stuff out there, and here we are in 2026, still enjoying it to this day, an all-time classic. So it's a strange trip, but a good trip.
So I have two reasons to watch it. Number one, as a introduction to the show. The show's great. Show's got a much larger impact on society and the zeitgeist than the film did. So it's a good introduction into that. Number two is Robert Altman. Just a fantastic director. Not a single stinker in his entire catalog. Everything that he did is recommended. And you can see his influence on many films that come out today. Many films that come out at top tier today. So giving yourself an introduction to the show MASH, giving yourself an introduction to Robert Altman is definitely a reason that the film MASH is an old movie worth watching. So what's the next one?
That's what we still have to be determined.
All right, fuck it then.
We
Kramer versus Kramer. You ever seen it?
Hell no.
Me neither. Next time. Kramer versus Kramer.
Is it an old movie worth watching, or is this our first?
I think it won some Oscars and stuff. I think it's okay. It's about custody hearings. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
The Academy has their own set of standards, and we have our own set of standards just because they approve it.
Kramer versus
doesn't necessarily mean it's getting 2 thumbs up from us, but we'll see about that.
Next time on Old Movies Worth Watching.
Shout out Alec Baldwin.